It was 10:45 p.m. on a Tuesday when my best friend's younger sister stepped out of my guest bathroom, wearing an oversized graphic tee, gray sweatpants, and a towel wrapped around her damp hair. Her name is Lily Bennett. She is 26, an exhibition designer for museums, and currently standing in the hallway of my 2-bedroom apartment in Portland, Oregon. Her older brother, Noah, was supposed to host her for her 10-day gallery setup, but a burst plumbing pipe left his place uninhabitable, and Noah was called out of town for a mandatory corporate event. Noah called me with a trusting directive. "She'll stay with you for 2 nights, Ethan. Don't make it weird." I thought hosting my best friend's sister would be simple. I was completely wrong. I led Lily into my small home office, gesturing toward the fold-out futon. "The sofa pulls out into a bed," I explained. "It's a little stiff, but it works." Lily sat down. Instantly, the frame groaned, and a loose metallic spring snapped out from beneath the cushion with a loud clack. She sat up slowly, looking at the broken frame, then at my open bedroom door down the hall where my queen-sized bed was visible. Her dark eyes locked onto mine with a slow, playful tilt of her head. "So," Lily asked, resting her chin in her hands, "where am I supposed to sleep?" "I just showed you," I replied, pointing at the futon. Lily stood up, smoothing her shirt. A mischievous smile curved her lips. "Beside you works." I stood frozen in the doorway. I had 3 seconds to come up with a witty response. I used all 3 to completely forget how to speak English. Lily brushed past me, smelling faintly of lavender. She paused near my bedroom door and looked over her shoulder. "Relax, Ethan. I don't bite." "That wasn't my concern," I muttered, my voice raspy. Lily turned back, her eyes sparkling with amusement. "Interesting. If the one woman you have secretly forbidden yourself from loving for 8 long years suddenly asks to sleep right beside you, would you tell her no? Or would you finally admit that you have wanted this for a very long time?" "My name is Ethan Cole. I am 29, and I work as an audio editor for documentary films out of my apartment in Portland. My job is to listen to raw field audio, remove background hiss, smooth over awkward pauses, and shape unscripted moments into emotional stories. I spend my days focusing on subtle shifts in human voice, a catch in someone's throat or a shaky intake of air. Yet for years, I pretended I couldn't hear the tension in my own life. I met Lily Bennett 8 years ago, back when I was 21 and her older brother Noah was my college roommate. At 18, she was just Noah's energetic younger sister. But 3 years later, at Noah's college graduation party, I saw Lily again. She was 21, wearing a yellow dress, laughing in the sunlight. That was the exact moment I realized she wasn't just my friend's little sister anymore. And that was also when I built a concrete wall around my feelings. I established a strict law: Noah is family. Lily is his sister. That makes her family adjacent. End of story. Never touch your best friend's sister. It is the oldest rule in the book. If you try and fail, you lose your best friend, ruin a family dynamic, and leave everyone stranded in awkward chaos. So I constructed an ironclad persona. I called her Kid. I cracked jokes whenever she was around, using humor as a shield to keep my heart at a safe distance. Yet my actions betrayed my words. I knew Lily took her coffee black. I knew she hated raw cilantro. I always asked Noah about her museum design projects when she wasn't around. I knew the opening date of her first gallery installation, and I remembered her birthday every year without needing a social media reminder. Lily noticed. Over the years, she would tease me, "You know an alarming amount about me for someone who keeps calling me Kid. Your brother overshares," I would deflect. "Noah doesn't even remember how I take my coffee, Ethan," she would counter, stepping closer, and I would immediately change the subject. Beneath my self-imposed rule lay an even deeper scar. When I was 24, I dated a woman named Claire for 2 years. When Claire received a major job offer in Chicago, she accepted it without asking if I wanted to come along. Before boarding her flight, she said, "This job is too important for my future to say no to." I didn't blame her, but I walked away with a quiet belief. People will always choose their real life over me. Lily carried her own hidden hurt. 2 years ago, she went through a painful breakup with an ambitious architect who treated her like an accessory. After their breakup, I found Lily sitting on Noah's porch late one night. "Apparently, Ethan," she whispered, "I'm very easy to like, but surprisingly hard to choose." I carried those words in my heart for 2 full years. The plan was simple. Lily stays at my apartment for 2 nights until Noah gets back. But at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, my phone buzzed. A text from Noah. "Plumber says the main line broke under the floorboards. Water shut off for the whole week. Also, my boss extended my conference until Sunday. Can Lily stay with you until weekend? I owe you big time." I stared at the screen, letting out a heavy breath. Lily walked out of the guest room, holding a mug of fresh coffee. "Bad news?" she asked. "Noah's building is out of commission for 5 days, I said, setting my phone down. "And he's stuck out of town until Sunday." Lily raised an eyebrow. 5 whole days? You say that like I'm serving a prison sentence, I noted. "Prisoners usually get their own bunk," she pointed out. "Are you still stressing about the broken futon?" "I am currently thinking about buying a new sofa by noon," I replied. Lily smirked. "Coward." Since the futon frame was completely snapped, we were left with a dilemma. I insisted on sleeping on the living room rug. Lily outright refused. "It's your apartment, Ethan," she said, folding her arms. "You're 6'1". You can't sleep folded like a lawn chair on hardwood for 5 nights while I take your king-sized bed." "I am a grown man, Lily," I argued. "I can handle a rug." "And I am a grown woman," she countered. "The bed is huge. We are 2 consenting adults who know how to share space. Get over yourself." 10 minutes later, we established the official peace treaty. I placed 3 thick throw pillows down the middle of my queen-sized mattress, creating a fluffy wall between us. Lily stood at the foot of the bed, hands on her hips. "A pillow wall? Really? This is an international border," I stated firmly. "And what happens if I cross the border in my sleep?" she teased. "A severe diplomatic incident," I warned. Lily climbed onto her side, turning off the lamp. "Maybe I like conflict." The darkness settled over the room. I lay flat on my back, staring at the white ceiling. The pillows separated us, but I could hear every soft breath she took. She was less than 12 inches away. The faint scent of her vanilla perfume floated across the border, rendering sleep impossible. At 6:30 a.m., I woke up to a soft warmth against my right arm. I shifted slightly and realized the pillow wall had been kicked down onto the floor during the night. Lily was sleeping soundly, curled up on her side, facing me. Her fingertips were a fraction of an inch from my wrist. I froze, barely drawing a breath. She looked peaceful, her dark hair scattered messily over the pillowcase. I slowly slid out of bed and retreated into the kitchen to make coffee. A few minutes later, Lily leaned against the kitchen doorframe, rubbing her shoulder. "Running away already?" she murmured softly. "I needed coffee," I replied, keeping my eyes fixed on the pot. Lily walked over, leaning her hip against the counter right beside me. "That's not what I asked, Ethan." Over the next 3 days, forced proximity turned my quiet apartment into a shared ecosystem. We ate breakfast together, took turns picking playlists, and naturally fell into a comfortable rhythm that felt terrifyingly natural. The real danger wasn't just sharing a bed. It was how seamlessly Lily fit into my life, and how much I dreaded the day she would leave. On Thursday evening, I decided to cook pasta for dinner. Lily stood beside me near the kitchen island, attempting to chop bell peppers. Her knife technique was so inefficient that it was painful to watch. I stepped in, reaching around her to take the chef's knife out of her hands. "Move your fingers," I instructed gently. "You're going to slice off a knuckle." Lily didn't move away. She stayed pressed against my chest as I demonstrated the proper angle. "Control issues, Cole," she whispered. "Basic knife safety," I corrected, keeping my voice steady despite my racing pulse. "Are you always this bossy with women in your kitchen?" she asked. You are the only woman in my kitchen, I said plainly. The second the words left my mouth, I realized what I had said. The kitchen went completely quiet save for the bubbling pasta water. Lily stopped teasing. She turned around slowly inside the narrow space between me and the counter, looking up into my eyes. That sounded almost exclusive, she murmured softly. I cleared my throat, stepping back toward the stove. Don't get excited. It's just a statistical fact. Lily smirked. Too late. I'm already excited. While plating the pasta, a drop of sauce caught on the corner of Lily's upper lip. Without thinking, I reached out with my thumb and gently wiped it away. My thumb lingered against her warm skin longer than necessary. Our eyes met. The humor vanished from her face, replaced by an electric tension. I pulled my hand back, wiping my thumb on a napkin. You had sauce there. For 5 whole seconds? Lily asked softly, her gaze locked onto mine. I handed her a fork and sat down across the table. Later, while washing dishes, Lily leaned against the sink. Why are you still single, Ethan? You're smart, you have a great career, you cook, and you're domesticated. I have high standards, I replied dryly. Name 3, she challenged. Smart, funny, doesn't steal my blankets at 3 in the morning. Lily gasped in fake outrage. Wow, I was doing great until standard number 3. We shared a brief laugh, but then Lily's expression turned serious. Do you ever think you've already met the right person, but you were just too stubborn to notice? My hand froze inside the glass I was wiping. That sounds oddly specific, Lily. Just occupational curiosity, she deflected. You design museum exhibits, I noted. And I edit documentary audio. Neither of us is qualified to be having a conversation about destiny. We both knew what we were talking about. We were talking about us. But neither was brave enough to strip away the protective layer of sarcasm. On Friday afternoon, Noah called me on FaceTime. I picked up while sitting on the living room couch. A second later, Lily walked out of my bedroom wearing my oversized gray college hoodie. She sat down right beside me on the sofa, tucking her legs beneath her. Noah's face appeared on the screen, his eyes darting between us. Hey guys, you haven't killed each other yet. He's surprisingly tolerable, Lily announced, stealing a pretzel from my bowl. And he makes a great breakfast. She sheds, I added dryly. There is hair dye and bobby pins all over my bathroom. Only emotional shedding, Ethan, Lily countered with a wink. Noah laughed, completely oblivious to the romantic tension radiating through the screen. Glad you guys are getting along. Thanks again for looking after her, Ethan. I trust you with my life, man. I trust you with my life. His words hung over me like a heavy weight. After we hung up, a quiet guilt settled into my chest. I stood up and walked over to the kitchen counter, aggressively organizing the coffee pods into neat rows. Lily walked over, watching my hands. You always get weird after talking to Noah. I don't get weird, I lied, realigning an espresso pod. Ethan, you are alphabetizing coffee flavors, she pointed out gently. What is going on in your head? I stopped organizing, staring down at the counter. I felt like a traitor. My best friend trusted me implicitly, and here I was, staying awake until 3 a.m. every night, desperately trying not to reach across a bed to touch his sister. That night, we lay in bed together again. The pillow border was long gone. Ethan, Lily whispered into the dark room. Yeah. Do you actually see me as Noah's little sister? I swallowed hard, keeping my eyes fixed on the ceiling. You are Noah's little sister, Lily. That wasn't the question I asked, she whispered, her voice laced with quiet pain. I stayed silent, my heart hammering against my ribs. Ethan, she called softly. Go to sleep, Lily, I said, my voice tight. Coward, she murmured, rolling onto her side, turning her back to me. You've used that word twice this week, I noted quietly. Maybe it keeps being accurate, she whispered into her pillow. I looked at the silhouette of her shoulders. I wanted to reach out, to wrap my arms around her waist and tell her everything. But fear held me back. After 10 long minutes of silence, when her breathing had finally slowed, I leaned closer into the dark space between us. I stopped seeing you as his little sister years ago, Lily, I whispered barely above a breath. In the dark, Lily didn't turn around, but her voice came back, soft, clear, and wide awake. I know. On Saturday evening, the breaking point arrived not with a storm, but with a sudden city infrastructure failure. At 8:15 p.m., the electrical transformer down the street blew out with a quiet pop. The lights flickered twice and died, plunging my apartment into total darkness. I grabbed my phone, switching on the flashlight. Without the TV or background noise to hide behind, the apartment became intensely quiet. We ended up sitting side by side on the floor near the living room window, looking out at the Portland skyline. Suddenly, Lily's phone vibrated on the floor. An email notification popped up, illuminating her face in bright white light. I accidentally glanced down at the screen. The bold header read, Official offer, Lead Exhibition Curator, Copenhagen Cultural Institute, 6-month residency. The room felt instantly colder. Copenhagen, I asked, my voice dropping an octave. Lily flipped her phone face down, rubbing her temples. It's just an application I submitted months ago, she said defensively. Copenhagen is in Denmark, Lily, I said, my chest tightening as old defense mechanisms flared up. How long is the program? 6 months, she answered quietly, with an option to extend for a year. And when were you planning on mentioning this to me? I asked, my voice sharper than intended. Lily looked at me with flashing eyes. Why would I need to clear my career moves with you, Ethan? Her words hit me straight in the chest. You don't, I snapped. Exactly, Lily said, her voice trembling with rising frustration. You act like you care, Ethan, but every time things get real, you build a wall. What exactly do you want from me? I don't know, I shouted back, breaking my usual calm exterior. That is so convenient for you, she countered, standing up in the dim light. You keep making this complicated. You remember how I take my coffee. You know every detail of my work. You look at me like you want to pull me close. Then you pull back and hide behind my brother. I am trying to respect Noah, I yelled, standing up to face her. Noah is my best friend. He trusts me. I am 26 years old, Ethan. Lily yelled back, tears glistening in her eyes under the moonlight. Stop hiding behind my brother. Stop using Noah as a convenient excuse to protect yourself from getting hurt. I am not hiding from Noah, I confessed, my voice breaking in the dark room. Then who are you hiding from? She demanded, stepping into my personal space. You, I shouted. Silence crashed over the living room. I covered my face with my hands, taking a shaky breath before dropping them. I am hiding from you, Lily, I confessed softly. I started falling for you years ago, and the more I cared, the more terrified I got. My ex walked away the second a job came up. I convinced myself that if I ever let you see how I felt, you would eventually leave too, and I would lose both you and Noah. I looked into her eyes, raw and unguarded. I didn't stay away because I felt nothing. I stayed away because wanting you felt like the fastest way to lose you. Lily stood completely still, a single tear slipping down her cheek. I waited for years for you to look at me like a woman, Ethan, she whispered. I don't want to be loved in secret. I don't want to be a quiet crush you hide behind a pillow wall. I want to be chosen, publicly, realistically. She took a step closer, resting her hand over my hammering heart. So choose, Ethan. I didn't give a speech. I reached up, gently placing my hand behind her neck, resting my thumb against her jawline. Can I kiss you? I asked quietly. Lily let out a breathy laugh. You've been wasting a lot of time asking stupid questions, Cole. I leaned down and kissed her. It erased 8 years of unspoken words, suppressed longing, and cautious boundaries. When we finally separated, resting our foreheads together, Lily let out a soft laugh. Well, That was extremely undiplomatic. I smiled, my thumb gently tracing her lower lip. I am declaring the border permanently closed. When the sun rose on Saturday morning, the power grid was restored, flooding the apartment with bright weekend light. The atmosphere between us had completely transformed. We touched hands while reaching for coffee, exchanged long glances, and no longer pretended to be just host and guest. Yet beneath the sweetness sat a ticking clock. Lily's Copenhagen offer required a response by 5 p.m. on Sunday. She had less than 30 hours to decide. If she accepted, she would fly to Denmark in 12 days. We sat together at my dining table, the Copenhagen contract displayed on her laptop screen. My default reflex flared up, the self-sacrificing martyr habit I had built over a lifetime. It's an incredible opportunity for your career, Lily, I said. You should take it. Lily stopped typing, her expression dropping into deep disappointment. You're doing it again. Doing what? I asked. You are deciding what I should choose, so you don't have to risk being chosen, she said firmly. You are stepping back so you don't get hurt if I leave. Her words sliced right through my defenses because she was entirely right. I am scared, Lily, I admitted, holding her hands tightly. When Claire left for Chicago, she said her career was too important. I was terrified that if I asked you to stay, I would be forcing you to choose between your dreams and me. Lily looked at me with soft, resolute eyes. Claire chose her future, Ethan. But her mistake wasn't choosing her career. Her mistake was leaving you out of the blueprint. And your mistake was deciding that every woman after her would leave you behind. She squeezed my fingers. I am not going to shrink my ambitions for anyone. But I am also not going to abandon a real love just because it requires hard work across time zones. So what do we do? I asked quietly. We stop making executive decisions for each other, she said plainly. I want Copenhagen, but I also want us. I am tired of people acting like a woman can't have both. That afternoon, we built a practical plan. I opened my audio work schedule on my laptop. 60% of my documentary editing could be done remotely. I reached out to my production manager and arranged to shift my workload, allowing me to work remotely from Europe for 3 full weeks during the 3rd month of her residency. Meanwhile, Lily reviewed her contract. Her 6-month program included a mandatory mid-term break, during which she planned to fly back to Portland. We mapped out a concrete schedule. Daily video calls, structured visits, shared flight expenses, and an agreement to speak the uncomfortable truth whenever distance felt overwhelming. At 3 p.m., I picked up my phone and called Noah. Hey man, Noah answered. Plumber just finished. Heading back to my apartment now to pick up Lily. Noah, I interrupted, taking a deep breath. There's something I need to tell you first. Silence on the line. What happened? Did the futon break? I'm seeing Lily, I stated clearly. We're together. There was a long pause over the receiver. Then Noah let out a heavy sigh. Finally. I blinked. Finally. Ethan, Noah laughed exasperatedly. You've known how she takes her coffee longer than I have. Do you really think I'm that blind? Just don't be stupid with her. From behind me, Lily leaned over my shoulder toward the phone. He's already been stupid for 8 years, Noah. Fair point. Noah chuckled before hanging up. At 4:47 p.m., 13 minutes before her deadline, Lily brought her cursor over the accept button. She turned to look at me. Still beside me? I wrapped my arms around her waist, kissing her shoulder. Try getting rid of me. Lily clicked accept offer. 8 months later, the Copenhagen residency came to a successful close. Those 6 months apart were far from a fairy tale. Long-distance relationships are relentlessly unglamorous. There were 8-hour time zone differences, dropped video calls, and exhausting days when Lily was too overwhelmed by gallery setups to text back. We had real arguments, like when I defaulted to saying, I'm fine over WhatsApp instead of admitting I missed her. But neither of us ran away. Whenever fear crept in, we picked up the phone and spoke the raw truth. I flew to Copenhagen twice, working out of a small rented apartment near her gallery. Lily flew back to Portland during her break. We didn't sacrifice our careers for love. We built a schedule big enough to hold both. When her residency concluded, Lily accepted a permanent hybrid role with a national arts organization, allowing her to base her primary design studio right here in Portland. On the night she officially moved her things into my apartment, I surprised her. In my home office, the old futon was gone. In its place stood a brand new, deep navy blue sofa, sturdy, comfortable, and wide. Lily stood in the doorway, holding her suitcase, looking at the new furniture with a bright, familiar spark in her eyes. "Oh, you finally replaced it." "Extremely comfortable," I smiled, leaning against the doorframe, guaranteed not to collapse. Lily set her suitcase down. She walked over, sat on the cushion, and looked up at me with that same slow, captivating smile from 8 months ago. "So," she whispered, gesturing to the space beside her, "where should I sleep?" I walked over, stepping past the old boundaries, and sat down right beside her, pulling her into my arms. "Beside me works," I murmured. Lily laughed softly, resting her head against my chest. "Took you long enough, Cole?" Looking back over 8 years, I realized that what almost cost me the love of my life wasn't distance, wasn't Noah, and wasn't Copenhagen. It was my own belief that retreating before getting hurt was safer than risking everything to be chosen. Real love is not about staying safe behind self-imposed rules. Mature love is about building a space strong enough to hold both people's dreams, speaking the truth even when your voice shakes, and choosing each other every single day. If you were in Ethan's shoes, would you have taken the risk to start a relationship right before a 6-month long-distance move? Or would you have stayed silent to keep things safe? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.